and I was up in Canada again, and I decided to hunt an area and a tree stand that no one had ever gotten a bear out of, but it was one of those, sometimes I pick a place because of how beautiful it is. It's just an inspiring spot, and this is along a river. And years ago, this had been logged off. In Canada, they call the woods the bush, because it's so thick. And with this area, what had been logged off more recently, and there was a fair amount of open area. And then some of the pine trees that were there weren't that many limbs, so it was more open than some of the other areas. But it was an inspiring place with this river running through it, up on a bank. And I said, I'm just going to go sit on the river line. I said, okay, no one's ever gotten a bear there, but go ahead. So I'm sitting there, and just, again, it's one of these beautiful evenings, me and a million mosquitoes. Watching the sunset. How many have been to Canada? Those bugs are big up there, aren't they? And, you know, they're just, no matter what you got on, they try to bite through it or bug dope or whatever. But so other than the bugs, though, it was a wonderful night. And again, I was just daydreaming because the sun was setting, the river was making all the river noise, all the sound of the river going by. And I really was just, time was just standing still as I just sat there and dreamed in front and just let my mind. You know what I like about, and I'll talk more about things that I value about the outdoors, is I like that my mind can just wander. You know, guys, when your wife asks you what you're thinking, and you say nothing, they just don't get that. But we really aren't thinking anything. And I just like those times when I just kind of let, just like air, just sort of go from one ear to the other, you know, and just let it go through. So I'm sitting there and I'm just daydreaming. And all of a sudden, down below towards the river, there was some brush down there. I saw a monster bear head stick his head out from just his head from this bush. And instantly I knew it was a monster bear. And he wasn't black, he was more cinnamon phased. Most black bears are black, that's why I call them black bears. But there are phases of bears. Every once in a while you'll see them in different phases, blonde and cinnamon. Well, this one was more of a cinnamon phase and looked like a grizzly, just this huge, flat, white head. You know, there's a lot of people that say judging the size of a bear is hard. It's hard to judge the size of a bear. I really think that's an excuse for people who shoot small bears. Because when a big bear shows up, there's no question, he's a big bear. And I knew instantly, just by looking at the head, I knew that this was a monster bear. But then he was gone, and minutes went by. And more minutes went by. I said, he must have heard me, he must have smelled me. I blew it. I just blew it, and I'm kind of just kicking myself. Man, that was a big bear. Another 5 minutes goes by, and I just think, this is not going to, you know, I'm not going to get a bear here tonight. And then all of a sudden, I looked, and I didn't hear anything. All of a sudden, here he's coming right behind me. And he comes right below me, right under my tree stand. And my tree stand's only about this high off the ground. And I'm thinking, Lord, that's a big bear. And he's got his nose in the air. And I've never seen a bear like this. I've seen a lot of wild bears. This one had an attitude. He acted like he owned the place. As far as I care, he did. Looking around. And I'm looking at this guy. And I thought, you know, what if he comes up the tree? You know, I'm thinking all these things. You can't shoot a hole like this. You know, so I'm thinking I'll take an arrow and I'll poke him or something. You know, I'm trying to figure out all these options I got. You know, and if he would have looked straight up at me, I mean, he was looking around, but he didn't look. I mean, if he would have looked straight up at me, I think I would have just bailed right out of the tree. You know. And I had been in camp at least 3 or 4 days, and it was just, you know, just the guys were the cooks, so it was guys cooking. And what do guys cook? They cook fried food. That's basically, we just eat fried food. Deer camp, this is fried food. And I like fried food, but after 3 or 4 days, it's going to start talking to you. And I don't know if it's a combination of the fried food or my nerves because this is big bear, but all of a sudden my stomach decided to talk. How many of you ever tried to make your stomach be quiet in public? It don't work, does it? So I'm trying to be, it's just, again, I had one of those feelings like, this is not going to end well. This is not going to be good. And so my stomach is just making all these incredible noises. And this bear is just looking around. He can't even look up. He's looking around like, put something around here, I'm going to take care of it, you know. I'm thinking, Lord, I don't want to die this way. And anyway, so my stomach is just continuing to make all these crazy noises, and for whatever reason, this bear must have thought, well, whatever is around here, I'm bigger than that. And so he started walking away, and he started walking over by the baited area. Like, okay, maybe this is going to be all right. So he gets over by the baited area, and he turns slightly. It's very important whether it's a bow or a gun that you always take the right shot. And as hunters, we need to be very ethical to make sure we always take the right shot and wait until we get the right shot. And a bow and arrow is a very effective weapon, by the way. And one year we got 5 of us got bear, and that one went over 20 yards. And so, but you have to wait. And too many people get anxious and they take a shot they shouldn't take. So I wanted to make sure this is a magnificent bear that I got the right shot. So he turns broadside, slightly quartering away so I could put the arrow right behind his shoulder. And I start to draw. And how many of you know half draw? And some of you won't appreciate this, but half draw with a compound bow is a bad deal, right? And as I started to draw, I don't know if he just heard something. Again, they can hear incredibly well. I don't know if he just heard something or what, but he turns. And I'm half drawn. I'm going, I was afraid to go either way because I was afraid he'd catch the motion or, you know, hear something. So finally, I just ease up. Oh, this isn't good. So after several minutes, he turns, gives me the shot I'm looking for. I start to draw again. Again, I get half drawn. He turns. He's looking around with this little beady, I'm going to kill you eyes. And I'm going, so I let up again. Honestly, that went on 4 or 5 times. Every time I go to draw, he'd turn. I said, you know what, I'm going to lose my mind. Next time this bear turns, I'm getting that bow back no matter what. I'm just going to get it back, and if he bolts, he runs, whatever, I'll deal with it, but I can't take this anymore. So, he turns, gives me the shot I'm looking for. I pull back, and this time he just turns his head. So I still had the shot I was looking for. I quickly put the pin where I was supposed to, pull the trigger, the arrow went zip, right through him, and he took off like a mini bulldozer. These huge paw prints, dirt was flying, this like swaths of ground were flying. He comes running right behind the tree, and then he rolls down this bank, lands on a tree, and it's over with. I just shot a monster bear. And I started shaking so bad that I had a safety strap on. I agree with the DNR officer, don't get caught without one, okay? But I don't want to try one out. I don't want to experience them. I'm afraid I'll change a few octaves. I don't like those things, man. So anyway, even though I had a safety strap on, I was shaking so bad, I had to hug the tree. I shot a monster bear. I literally hugged that tree for 10 minutes before I could settle down enough that I didn't feel like I was going to literally just fall out of the tree. So that's my worst case of buck fever, or bear fever. And you know, it took 4 of us in a 4-wheeler to get that bear up from that bank. The average adult bear actually weighs only about 150 pounds because of all the fur. They look like they weigh 450, 500 pounds. This is a spring bear, and he weighed 450 pounds in the spring. So by the fall, he would have weighed probably 700, 800 pounds, the size of a smaller grizzly bear. And so I have that bear's in the record book. He scored, for those who keep track of scores, he scored 19, his skull, they measured the size of the head on a bear. It was 19/7. And so that's my record book, Shake and Hug the Tree bear story. So let me tell you what I love about the outdoors.